You need to hear and see what Roman Reigns said.
Step into the ring, fans. It's main event reports, bringing you all the latest from WWE. Don't forget to subscribe, and let's get started. For years, the partnership between Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman was one of the most iconic alliances in WWE, built on trust, strategy, and mutual dominance. But in the fall of 2025, that foundation quietly cracked behind the scenes as a storm of miscommunication, career shifts, and conflicting priorities brewed beneath the surface. When Brock returned from his hiatus expecting the usual sense of unity, he was instead met with whispers, mixed signals, and a political landscape he didn't recognize, leading him to sense that something had gone fundamentally wrong between him and the man who once called him his greatest creation, a return filled with red flags. Brock Lesnar's comeback to WWE was supposed to be a triumphant moment, but from the moment he stepped back into the locker room, he could tell things had changed. Meetings he once would have been included in were now happening without him, and key decisions about championship direction seemed oddly predetermined. While Lesnar is known for taking long breaks to focus on his family and his life outside the ring, he always returned with the expectation of clarity and honesty. Instead, he found uncertainty, new alliances, and a company that felt strangely distant from him. The quiet shift in influence. During Brock's absence, Paul Heyman's influence in WWE had reached new heights thanks to his involvement with Roman Reigns and other major storylines. Sources within the company suggest that Heyman began attending high-level creative meetings with a focus on shaping the long-term future of the roster. As he advocated for full-time performers to take on more prominent roles, the tone in those conversations gradually shifted away from Lesnar's part-time schedule. While Heyman insisted he was thinking about the company's evolution, the optics of those meetings began painting a different picture. The discovery that changed everything. The real turning point came when Brock was quietly shown internal memos and planning documents that outlined proposed storyline changes and long-term direction that didn't include him. What shocked him wasn't just the shift, it was the realization that some of the recommendations had reportedly been drafted or influenced by Paul Heyman himself. These notes questioned whether Lesnar's sporadic appearances still aligned with WWE's need for consistency. For Brock, this wasn't a creative adjustment. It felt like a personal blindside from someone he had trusted for over a decade. Confronting the unspoken. When Lesnar eventually approached Heyman privately to get clarity, the discussion became one of the most emotionally charged exchanges the two had ever experienced. Instead of anger or theatrics, the conversation centered on long-standing frustrations, evolving roles, and the uncomfortable reality that both men were now navigating different visions for WWE's future. Lesnar expressed disappointment that Heyman hadn't been upfront, while Heyman defended his decisions as being rooted in the overall health of the company. What made the moment so significant was not its volume, but its honesty. Loyalty versus strategy. At the heart of their disagreement was a fundamental divide. Brock valued the loyalty that shaped their partnership, while Heyman believed in adapting to WWE's shifting creative landscape. Heyman admitted that he had advocated for newer talent to have opportunities, but insisted it wasn't meant as sabotage. Yet from Brock's view, the issue wasn't the nature of the decisions, it was that they happened without transparency. When someone builds a brand around fierce loyalty, even the perception of secrecy can feel like betrayal. The internal fallout word of the tension spread quickly through WWE's backstage circles, sparking debates among talent and producers alike. Some felt that Heyman was simply doing what any forward-thinking strategist would do in his position, prioritizing the company's long-term future. Others believed that after everything he and Brock accomplished together, Heyman owed him more direct communication. The atmosphere grew noticeably quieter whenever either man walked into the room, and the creative team found themselves reworking multiple storylines to avoid placing them together until things settled. A company caught in the middle, WWE leadership quickly recognized the seriousness of the situation. With Brock being one of the company's biggest draws and Heyman one of its most influential creative minds, maintaining balance was essential. Executives began meeting with both men independently, attempting to understand their perspectives without escalating tensions further. Instead of disciplinary action or drastic changes, the strategy became mediation, ensuring both individuals felt heard while keeping future business decisions flexible. The shift in public presentation. Even though fans didn't know the full story, they sensed something was different. Brock's on-screen persona appeared more focused, controlled, and intense, while Heyman's promos took on a more introspective tone, emphasizing commitment, leadership, and evolution. Observers speculated that subtle, coded references were being inserted into their performances, but both men kept the real details off television. WWE wanted to preserve the integrity of their characters without exposing personal frustrations in a way that could harm the product. Wrestlers choosing sides behind the curtain, the roster found itself quietly divided. Some veterans related to Heyman's position, believing that full-time performers should carry the main spotlight. Others sympathized with Brock, arguing that loyalty and personal history should matter more than business strategy. These unspoken alignments didn't escalate into conflict, but they definitely influenced the energy backstage, creating a sense of caution around conversations involving either man-business implications beyond the ring. Executives had to consider the financial ripple effects of the tension. Brock Lesnar is a proven draw for major events, and Paul Heyman plays a crucial role in shaping stories across multiple brands. Losing either figure or damaging their reputations could affect ratings, merchandise, and long-term creative plans. Decision-makers monitored the situation closely while also preparing contingency strategies in case the partnership could not be rekindled. The question of reputation for Brock, the issue was not about anger, but about respect. For Heyman, it was about defending a complex set of decisions made under pressure from multiple departments. Both men had legitimate viewpoints, and neither wanted the narrative to paint them as villains. WWE quietly worked to ensure the public wouldn't misinterpret the situation, protecting the legacies of two of its most influential figures while navigating a sensitive internal conflict, a potential path forward. As weeks passed, both men began focusing on their individual creative directions. The company gave them space from each other in storylines while encouraging them to communicate indirectly through intermediaries. Industry analysts believe that if the relationship heals, it will be because both sides understand the difference between business decisions and personal loyalty. If it doesn't, WWE may have to rethink long-term plans that once relied heavily on their collaboration. The legacy of a fractured alliance. Regardless of how the situation resolves, the dynamic between Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman will forever be part of WWE history. Their partnership transformed careers, elevated storylines, and created unforgettable moments. Whether this chapter leads to reconciliation or a professional parting, it reinforces the reality that even the strongest alliances in sports entertainment reflect the complexities of real human relationships, filled with ambition, honesty, disappointment, and growth. What comes next? As WWE continues crafting its biggest upcoming events, both Brock and Heyman find themselves at pivotal crossroads. Their futures may diverge, or they may eventually realign, but one thing is certain. This moment will shape their legacies for years to come. The world of wrestling thrives on drama, but the most compelling stories are the ones rooted in real emotion. And this behind-the-scenes shift has already become one of the most talked-about chapters of the modern era.